Joel, are you on your phone?
Yeah. Just looking to get some new team kits for my social clubs.
What sport are you playing?
Basketball, soccer, footy, rugby, cricket, pickleball, tennis, netball, a bit of esports. Yep.
Gee, bit of a jack of all trades, Joel.
Yeah, well, I've got a pickleball background.
Oh, that's important for the podcast game, the old pickleball background. Where are you getting these kits from?
Get me kits from First Ever Custom. You actually get 10% off when you check out using the discount code SASH10.
So all of those team kits for all those different sports you mentioned, you're going to get 10% off.
Yeah, that's right. So the credit card's getting a bit of a workout, but I generally leave things to the last minute, and only 15 business days turnaround for delivery, so I'm going to get them quickly.
Only 15 business days. When does pickleball season start?
There's many seasons.
Many seasons.
Yeah.
All year round. Well, that's Don's Footy, baby. You can check the links on our socials and in the episode description. Does it again. Caldwell cools the crom, Sammy lays an egg, and the Dons go 2-4 after a win over the Crows. This is the Sash, definitely not the official podcast of the Essendon Football Club. I'm your host, Rob, here with you, and joining me in studio is James. Hello, mate.
G'day, Rob. Good to be back. Another good win for the boys. Off the top, just quickly, though, I think we owe the Sash community and listeners a bit of an apology. We spoke at length about our goal-kicking accuracy last week. And
I've cursed us.
I know we said touch wood and hit this table a few times, but sorry, everyone. Won't mention that again. 18 points is, head against the table rather than hand against the table. That was frustrating.
Yeah, it definitely was. And joining us for the very first time is Ryan. Hello, buddy.
G'day, how you going?
Good, man. Good. For the listeners and viewers, Ryan has been writing these beautiful blogs on our website recently. James, have you read a few of these? Have you enjoyed them?
I have been reading them, yeah.
Absolutely. I've seen the analytics.
But welcome to the show, mate. It's an obligatory question for anyone first time. Why are you an Essendon supporter? Why have you got the curse?
Yeah, well, it's like most people here. It's the family curse.
Yeah.
So both sides of the family are Essendon, to the point where we're such Essendon fans that I remember when I was little, my mother had, my nan actually bought me a teddy bear. For some reason, though, it had a West Coast jumper on it.
Okay.
My mother just said to me, "That's really nice. Just give it here for a second." She got rid of the jumper and said, "Here's your teddy."
Yeah.
And then she never let anything else in the house that wasn't red and black again.
There you go. I like it a lot. Let's get stuck into it, boys. Plenty to talk about from the game. I think before we go to the goods and the bads, let's start with what I've written on the run sheet is the incident. The one thing that's hitting the papers and the press and everyone, and they're all talking about it because, as a very famous man once said, it was right in front of me. We were robbed. And look, it probably was a free kick, but we deserve the win because we smashed them everywhere else. But, that's footy sometimes, isn't it, James?
It is footy. Look, I'm as biased as they come, as you know. 100% that was holding the ball. And if that happened to us, I would be fuming. So all is fair there. That's 100% holding the ball. But the holding the ball decisions for the majority of the game I thought were rubbish both ways. There was a few inside our forward 50. McHenry, Hamill and Smith all got caught what I thought was pretty cold. And then the one on Langford just before half-time was just completely inconsistent with the whole game. So I thought they were consistently inconsistent, including Draper's decision. So, all is fair and well at the end of the day. And, not sure that's a tactic to use going forward for Big Sammy, but he got away with that one and, we deserved it.
Yeah, and I think that's it. With moments like this, you have to go, if it was, shoe on the other foot, if it was us in that decision, would Essendon Twitter have gone into a complete and utter meltdown? Absolutely, it would have. As would the Facebook and the Instagram comments certainly on our pages. What did you make of it, Ryan?
I'd say it's probably, I think, James, you're spot on with the inconsistencies, but I actually think it's a little bit of a balancing act. There was only 30 seconds prior. You've got Tex Walker, got the ball, he gets tackled fairly, and he throws the head back, trying to go for the free kick. I think it's only fair that he has a legitimate free kick go against him. And, there's not much better than a sad Tex Walker. So I think this was the gods on our side. And as you said, we were the better team on the day.
Yeah. If you enjoy a sad Tex Walker, stick around for hot takes because there's a common theme and it revolves around that certain individual. But, look, I think the one thing that annoys me about this is that all the media fallout to the game has not. I mean, look, I haven't watched like the hardcore review shows yet, but it hasn't been about a gritty Essendon win. It's been all about this, and I think we actually did play really, really well. There was a good moment there where I think we all thought, well, this is game over. They're going to run away with it. But we held in and we got the win. And we're not talking about that. Everyone's just talking about, oh, they got robbed because, of this small little incident. But I think if we look at the game as a whole, it's another good performance for the CV of this year.
Yeah, it is. And it's interesting you mentioned that, Rob, because I found the same thing. No one was really talking about the gritty Essendon win and the Essendon edge, as we keep saying. Everyone was sort of talking about that decision, but I don't mind it. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's not drink the bathwater heading into Anzac Day. Sort of just going under the radar a little bit, getting the job done, playing our brand of footy. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing.
Yeah, unless you're John Ralph, who's basically written an article today about how everything's going right for Essendon and lids off if they beat the Pies. And it's just like, no, stop this curse. Just keep it down. Let's keep it hush. As soon as they start writing positive articles about Essendon, you're like, all right, countdown to a thrashing.
There's nothing surer than a good article. I remember back in the day, if there was a good article about Cale Hooker in the news, well, he's going to do a hammy. It was just over. It was immediately over. And it's the same thing now. I mean, even you guys made mention that you had during the, in the last pod, you'd made mention of the great goal kicking. It certainly wasn't only you guys. It was everyone in the media talking about David Rath and how good we were going. And there was just nothing surer than we were going to kick 10-18, nearly lose it. You're just watching it. And I was at work for the first half and you're just watching the miss after miss after miss. And you just go, this is classic Essendon.
Yeah.
Classic.
More Rish than Rath, we would say, with that goal kicking.
Ever.
Let's get stuck into the goods and the bads. And I reckon, Ryan, it's your debut on the show tonight. The new ball. Start us off with a good. Who or what do you want to talk about?
Well, look, I want to start off probably with the most obvious good in a game like that.
Yep.
We won.
Yep.
In how many years gone by would we have lost that? I only have to go back to, maybe, 21, 22. You think about those honourable losses we had to start the season. The idea that we actually had a tight game, we were challenged, we weren't at our best, and we actually won. That's borderline the most impressive thing that I think came out of it.
Yeah, I think it might have been Sam Durham in the post-match who sort of said we probably would have lost that one in previous years. And you're right, because time and time again, that's happened to us. Like, there's been times where we've played really well and we've won close ones because the other teams might have had an off day, but this just had the recipe for it going wrong. Almost the reverse of what happened in the St Kilda game, where St Kilda were the one who were having the bad day and we got away with the win. This felt like that was the case. It's just like, okay, the first half was awesome. We didn't capitalise. When are they going to get it together? When are they going to put it on the scoreboard? And eventually, I was thinking that I think most supporters were feeling, when is it going to happen? Because I recall reading a comment on one of our social pages after the win, and I put out the little post, and someone goes, "That felt like a loss." In a weird way, it kind of felt like a loss, even though we did grind it out and get the win. But you're right. Everything we can look at this game, the fact that we walk away with 4 points on an away win as well, which is something that has been pretty rare over the last few years. Like, if you kind of, like, I was going back and looking at some of the numbers today. Like, if you take away the sort of COVID years, like, we're looking at like one win away during the year, and that's kind of been West Coast, who that's not a big rap, and we still lost them 2 years ago. So actually winning some games on the road is the start of a bit of a foundation for something to build on. So we got the win. That's all that matters.
Yeah, 100% agree. Exactly what you said, Ryan. I sort of wrote down we would have laid down in a couple of those scenarios when they got a bit of
someone did lie down.
someone did. Good segue.
Big old belly flop. That was better.
Keep the theme going.
Yeah.
But yeah, we showed heart and grit when challenged. A great fight back towards the end of that third quarter, where previously you sort of might have thought that was it, and how many goals Adelaide going to win by. So really impressive. Thought we dominated across the ground, and the scoreboard obviously didn't reflect our dominance throughout the game. I thought we organised ourselves behind the ball really well, which is something that I probably thought we were going to struggle with in the absence of Reid and Ridley. So testament to Mackay, and I know we'll talk about individuals in a moment, but Redmond as well, I thought really stood up in that department. And then we won contested ball, we won clearances, and then we had 80 tackles for the game as well. So, Essendon edge style footy, another tick.
Yeah, because I feel like they did. The Crows brought an extra man up to the stoppage a lot of the time, and that kind of freed Redmond up to play that loose man. And, one thing we've definitely struggled with in past years is our ability to pin sides in. And you look at the good teams around the competition, how they'll just strangle a team until the point they finally get the goal they need. And we were doing that for large chunks. We did it against the Dogs last week as well. And I was sitting there going, this is coming along. This is what I like about this. And then, once, like you said, once we get a bit more cattle back, ideally in defence, it can go a long way. I want to single out a good here. And there's a few guys who have better games than him, but it's probably the first time this year I've given him a good shout out. But I want to give Ben Hobbs a big shout out because I think that's probably the best game he's played so far this year, and definitely one of his better games over the course of his career. The thing I loved about it was his pressure. His tackling was immense. He got, I think, 2 or maybe even 3 holding the ball decisions go his way. 3 tackles are inside 50. Gets a really, really good set shot goal, and was just generally, quite involved in the play without being just a pure, you're at the centre bounce midfielder. He was playing that half forward mid role really well. And almost like with Caldwell at times, I've kind of gone like, where's this guy's development? Is he just going to have to be in the guts all the time? But can he develop into doing something a little bit more? And this was one of the best examples I've seen myself of him doing that, where it's, you're probably going to spend most of your time as a forward, but you are, that extra man coming up at times. This game style is built off forward pressure, and he was, in my opinion, probably the best guy for that this week.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think, I've felt sometimes he can get a bit lost. I feel like sometimes, I don't think he's being naturally played in his right position due to the cattle we've got in the midfield. He is that under sort of, up and under kind of guy. But, one goal, particularly a very impressive goal considering how rare they were on the night. 21 touches is pretty high for him. I was looking at his numbers. He's been in the teens a lot, but to get his hands on the ball as much as he did, considering the role that they're playing him in, I think that was just really impressive. And and back on his goal is the fact that at the time we needed it so desperately, because I believe it was, we really had a few runs of behinds, and geez, he just dobbed it and it went through perfectly. And I think, look, he might be the next Caldwell for us, where we do have those questions about where does he fit best, but maybe he just finds his way to where he needs to be, and maybe the coaches are just forced to play him where he wants to play.
Yeah, exactly. You got a good for me, James.
Well, I'll reiterate Hobbsy there. I was really impressed with his game last week, and I spoke about it. Can he back it up? I thought exactly what you said, Ryan. I spoke about him getting a little bit lost unless he was in and under. He's really starting to find his role as that high half forward, comes up to the contest, 21 disposals, 6 tackles, a goal, and had 21 pressure acts. And I know earlier on in the season we were speaking around Hobbsy and tackle numbers and pressure numbers being down. I reckon he's really starting to find his role. So stoked for him, and it makes a difference when we can kick long down the line and have someone like him there to then put on the heat after the midfielders are sort of stuck up the ground. Another one, we always do it. I do it, and we sort of look at other players because this bloke just does it week in, week out. I didn't mention him last week, so I will this week. The skipper, Zachy Merritt, led from the front again, 28 disposals, 15 contested, 7 clearances, and hit the scoreboard as well. And it was a bloody important one. And if there was a button you could press for a captain's goal, I reckon I would have pressed it then. And he sort of stopped that momentum and turned it around for us. I was sort of having a think today around Zach, and might be a big call, but I reckon he's not far off All-Australian captain at this point of the season. I know it's early, but I reckon he's gone under the radar just because we haven't been a successful team for a long time. I think the media and footy fans are starting to realise how good he is. David King says he's the best
captain in the competition.
Well, yeah, I have to agree with it. Whether others do, might be a little bit biased, but he's putting together a terrific season and he's bringing others along with him. And with the rise of Duz and Caldwell, who I'm sure we'll speak about in a moment, sort of allowing him to just sit off the contest a little bit, use that left foot, and when he's got time and space, he really cuts them up. And
someone made mention of that over, I can't remember whether it was post-game or maybe just over the weekend, the fact that he has almost sacrificed aspects of his game for the betterment of the team. And I think so much of that is probably feeding into that narrative of him potentially being the best captain in the competition. Because, if he was a more selfish player, you can't imagine 40 every week, 2 goals even. But it did seem, as you're saying on the weekend, it felt like he could see that Caldwell and Durham are putting together some really good form, and he did seem to almost recede to give them that opportunity. And it just says everything you need to know about him, that he's just all about team success. And if he got an All-Australian and, even got a vice captain or, as you're saying, the captaincy, I mean, there wouldn't be too many people other than, hardcore opposition nuffies that would be shocked by it, because really, I mean, given the circumstances of being an Essendon captain, which has got to be one of the hardest jobs in the sport, he just brings it every week, absolutely every week. And it's a testament to him, really.
Yeah, 10 coaches' votes, which might be a surprise to some. I know a lot of people thought Dawson might have been best on ground, but at least in the coaches' eyes, Zach takes the 10, which now that all teams have actually played 6 games, he's actually second on the coaches' votes ladder. To be fair, Isaac Heaney is 20 points in front with 47 out of 60, which is incredible from him. But yeah, Zachy, he's getting the plaudits that he needs, and that goal was great because I was a bit disappointed about that set shot effort of his. I don't understand it. Like, he's one of the most beautiful kicks around the ground, but suddenly as soon as he has a set shot of goal, there's just it doesn't feel right, with him. But yeah, obviously great for him to get the Rove and get the crumb, which we're happy about there. Do you want to give us another good, Ryan?
I certainly do. He's been spoken about plenty over the last couple of weeks since the St Kilda game, but Harry Jones, I mean, I'm going to pull out the phrase, he is officially back. It is 2021 Harry Jones. If we're going to pull off lids, it's off Harry. Look, it was just another great effort, and just, again, he just felt like he was everywhere for a while there during that game. 2 goals, 13 disposals, and even 4 tackles, considering that, a lot of our midfield outside of Caldwell and Durham weren't really putting on the pressure. The idea that this lanky dude who's had a couple of shocking years with injuries laying 4 tackles is pretty unreal. And considering I was doing my little I had a little bit of research, and I just wanted to check out what he'd put together since the Saints game. And he's 7 goals, 1, and he's had 13, 11, 13, and 13 touches. So he's becoming very consistent with how often he's getting to the ball, and his kicking is where we need it to be.
Yeah.
And I just think it's, I don't think any of us really had him in the first 22 at the start of the season. And now it's starting to look like, how did we not? He's really come to life.
Yeah, he has. The pressure's the one thing that I love from him, and just a bit of confidence. Confidence goes a long way. I remember that first goal that he kicked when he first came back into the side, saying to Joel, like, this is going to do a world of good if he slots this. And, one step at a time, he's grown and grown. He's obviously pretty comfortable where his body's at. Touch wood, doesn't seem like there's anything bad happening. And I mean, maybe we can talk about this in next, but, we're now coming into a bit of a selection issue or problem with big 7-seater Peter coming back into the fold. What have you made of Jonesy, James?
Really impressive. I thought he brought his confidence from mostly last week when I was really impressed with him to this game. I think he's getting a reward for effort. I think that's really important. If you're going to put on pressure and consistently chase and double back and go again and create space for others, you do want to kick a couple yourself and sort of remind yourself that, hey, it can be my turn as well if I'm putting in all this effort. So I've been stoked to see him get the rewards. And I think, maybe the penny's dropped for Harry. And I spoke last week that maybe that blessing in disguise of getting dropped, then being brought back into the team late, maybe that was sort of what he needed and we didn't know it at the time. So, stoked for Harry.
Yep.
I hope he keeps it up. I think the entire forward line, maybe a penny has dropped. The pressure is really, really good. And then the goals are sort of being shared around, and that's what we see in the good sides. They don't rely on one guy. It's everyone puts on pressure, and if it's your day today, it'll be another person's day tomorrow.
It looks dynamic. It just looks, with him in there, it just looks, I mean, and we love Peter and we can't wait for him to be back for Anzac Day, but it's really, it feels very dynamic at the moment. The leads are good, and Harry's just bringing that, it's not X factor, but it's maybe Y factor, but it's something.
Which axis are we on here?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm just really enjoying what he's doing.
Yeah, no, for sure. Obviously now we do have a bit of a selection conundrum that we face. So the big 7-seater is back into the fold. He is available to be selected. He's done a mini pre-season, as Brad has spoken about today. Now, he's also said that Sam Draper will not be getting admitted, despite everyone on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter going, I think he's the one to go. So my question, gentlemen, and I think it's the question we're all asking ourselves this week, and so are the coaches, is being how do you fit all these keys and rucks into the same team? If you do it, if you don't, who's going to make way? And is there a possibility of a positional change from someone on that side? Because I would worry, and I think we would all worry, that on the big MCG against Collingwood, who can rebound the ball as good as anyone, that having a forward line that's too tall and can't lock it in and bring that pressure, we're going to have a problem. So, I mean, I don't know the answer. I don't think anyone does. I don't think Brad knows right now. What are we going to do, James?
Yeah, the $1 million question. It's going to be an intriguing week. I sort of thinking about it today, and this morning I thought, well, surely one of the ruckmen will be rested, and going into the season, we probably thought Goldie might have even already had a rest. But he's in really, really good form. So then it was, well, maybe Draper might have a rest. He was a little bit ill-disciplined this week. Obviously had the controversial decision at the end, but he gave away a 50-metre penalty, which was pretty cheap. He had 3 frees against for the game. And in that last quarter, watching the replay, he had an opportunity to spoil a ball over the boundary, and he just sort of put a half fist through it, hit it actually back inside, and that led to Keys kicking a goal at the end. So there was a few things that Sammy, I thought, didn't do well. So maybe he would come out of the side.
For me.
Also the set shot, which was kind of expected, but still frustrating. So I thought, well, maybe Sammy will come out of the team. Brad Scott's presser today guaranteed he'd be playing. So I'm none the wiser. Peter's obviously going to come back in. I'm worried about, like you said, how that changes the dynamic. Our forward pressure has been a staple of our last couple of wins. We don't want to see that go, but in terms of team selection, I had Wright in and potentially Sardis out because I couldn't find anyone else to bring out unless you bring out one of the ruckmen.
What about you?
Yeah, look, I think Brad's taken the only option I thought was sensible off the table by saying that Sam's definitely going to be playing for a guy that had as average of a game as he did with only 40% disposal efficiency from 5 touches. I thought that he was perfectly suited to have a rest. I got to admit, if you told me at the start of the year that he was being overshadowed by Todd Goldstein, I would have been a bit worried, and I kind of still am. But look, I mean, you're so right, though, James. I mean, you want to make sure you don't mess with that dynamic that we are developing in the forward line. And obviously, Alwyn Davey will be there. I think Hind might be the unlucky one if I was going to pick. Potentially they go for a really tall forward line and maybe try to stretch Collingwood in that regard. But I think the point you made about the rebounds is just it's frightening. And if Hind can do anything, he can run. It's a scary prospect having all 3 of them in there. I don't know. Maybe Sam just gets a cold.
Yeah, I mean, forgetting about who's being admitted from the side, if we're looking to like more of the sort of structure of things, so there's a couple of ways I think you could possibly do this. So there's obviously one scenario where one of those 3 guys is always on the bench. So there's one in the ruck, one playing forward, and that's it. And that's the way they do it. Then the other scenario is that you look at the other guys and go, who can come out of the forward line? So one option is Jake Stringer spending more time in the middle. We have seen him doing some centre bounces. And then it might sound an absolute blasphemy, but is there a possibility that we see Kyle Langford leave the forward line again?
No.
Do you think that'll happen?
No.
If there's anything we've learned, the closer Kyle is to goals, the better we are. When we played defence once last year, and that was a bad enough of example of why you leave Kyle near the forward line. He's just he's kicking 2 to 3 goals a week now. We can't even. You don't even want to dabble with messing with that.
Yeah. I think that's fair. Like, I have sort of wondered to myself though, like, with having like a proper group of small forwards that we've sort of run with the last few weeks, that if you've got those guys there, you can kind of get away with this taller forward line when you don't have the surplus of mids. So because Setterfield won't be playing, or most likely won't be playing, same with Perkins, you're not having guys push into the forward line who are, mids then forwards. Whereas if that was the case to bring this week and you still had Owen David Jr., you still had Gresham, and then maybe you still had Hine in the team, then it's like, all right, we've actually still got the three smalls who bring that extra heat, plus those other guys, and then maybe it does work out a little bit better. Obviously, Cox and Cameron are a very good combination in the ruck, as we've seen. They're the premiership ruckman as it stands. Like it's just a hard one, but yeah, I've just got this image in my head of Nick Dacos just streaming out of our forward 50 and Peter or Goldie or Drapes is just trying to get a hand on him and can't do it. And I'm just like, that's the one thing I don't want to happen.
Yeah, it's always a tough balance. The other guy that I was sort of wrote down that can maybe counterbalance Wright coming into the side a little bit is Guelphy. Now, I'm not sure what his fitness is like. I read that he trained with the main group today and trained well. I thought his defensive role on Sicily in round one was really, really good and a discipline role, and he got on the end of a couple that game from memory as well. Could he come into the side and try and lock down a Dacos off half back, or even sit on Darcy Moore and stop him intercepting? Maybe that counterbalances it a little bit, but yeah, tough balance. A good problem to have. I keep saying it with selection, but probably the more intriguing week so far in the season to see what we do.
Yep. Let's get back onto last Friday night. Obviously, still plenty more goods to go with. I think Jai Caldwell's probably worth a really good shout out. Like, just again backing onto last week, the pressure was good, his ball use was good, just really looking comfortable as a midfielder. I certainly felt last year at times where, I was just kind of like, I just don't know where this guy's at. I just wasn't really sure. But now I'm sort of going, oh no, this is the player that we, went and got, performing really, really well. Forming a nice little tandem with Sammy Durham, who could throw in there. I mean, the thing that shocks me about Jai Caldwell is the fact that he hasn't polled a coach's vote in his last few weeks. And I'm like, I've sort of had him in my best, and somehow, guess the coaches don't rate him, or I guess I just don't have a clue. But I feel like he's been one of our better players.
It's quite frightening, that fact, because you consider 81% disposal efficiency at 26 touches and 10 tackles. You'd think you're going to get at least a one vote out of that, but I think you're so right about him. He just looks comfortable. He looks confident. Again, it's maybe the club's giving him a bit more free rein to. He knows where he stands, I guess, at the moment. And you're right, with him and Durham, they just seem to be pairing up perfectly. And whether they meant to or not, they're complementing each other perfectly.
Yeah, it's nice to have a midfield duo who do the dirty work as well as the offensive side of it, because when it was the Merritt and Parrish combo, I felt like often one of the two of them was letting the other one down. Whereas here, it's like, oh no, here's two guys who are going to do the dirty work, who are going to lock down someone as well as win the ball. Their clearance work has been fantastic. The tackle numbers are incredible. I'm just loving what the pair of them are bringing. And yeah, I'm very excited to see where they go from here.
Yeah, both games from Caldwell and Durham were balanced beautifully. 26 disposals and 22 disposals. And then Caldwell had 10 tackles and Durham had 9 tackles. And I don't reckon there'd be a lot of Essendon midfielders in the last 5-10 years where you look at the stat sheet and they'd be balanced. I reckon you'd either have one that'd play a sacrificial role and not get their own footy, or you'd have someone like a Darcy Parish who'd have 40 touches and maybe 2 tackles. So the fact we've got 2 guys who have come in and been able to balance both the offense and the defense, I think, we've all seen ourselves how beneficial that's been to the team. Caldwell also had 27 pressure acts, which huge. When I was flicking through the stats, that was a game high as well. So, monster game. Not sure how he's missed the coach's votes. I couldn't believe it when he just mentioned that.
Yeah.
And I sort of noted down that I reckon he'd be top 3 in our best and fairest at the moment.
Yeah. Not the worst.
Alongside probably Zachy and Duz.
Yeah.
I'm stoked for Caldwell, and also to write down, I just love watching him play. Jeez, it's fun to watch those two boys go to work. I said it last week and they backed it up again. It's nice to have that dynamic in the midfield and not just rely on a couple of stars each and every week.
Yeah, would be keen to see Dazza line up on Jordan De Goey on Thursday and maybe Colwell to a Dacos if he steps into the middle. I think that'd be pretty good.
Makes perfect sense to me. I think just on the pair of them as well, is just what I love about what they're bringing is actually, and this might be having a dig at other midfielders, but it feels like every time they get the ball, they do something with purpose. You know, it feels like if it doesn't hit a target, it at least gets close. You know, I just feel like particularly Durham, some of his bullets into the forward line have just been phenomenal. And you know, obviously, we've had enough midfielders that have been bombing it with a prayer every time they get the ball. It feels like both of them are very confident to take a second, take a step, and make a thoughtful decision with the ball in hand. And again, another thing that's quite refreshing. So again, you know, this might all just fall down this week, and they might have shocking games, but at the moment, they're kind of giving you cause for hope. Yeah, so that's pretty exciting.
James, one more good from you, and then we'll do some bads.
I might just do a couple of quick shout-outs.
Go for it.
My man, Jake Kelly, once again, did a really nice lockdown role on Isaac Rankin, who probably single-handedly got him over the line last week against Carlton. So shout-out to Kelly once again, played in his proper position and played well, and with one eye on Anzac Day on Thursday. Bobby Hill, Jamie Elliott, Lockie Schultz.
Yeah.
Plenty of options to send him. And,
a good week to go to the wing.
Someone down. Yeah. Wouldn't be surprised. And then a couple of others just really quickly. Nick Martin, I thought it was one of his better games.
Definitely.
I know that some of the guys on this pod and probably some Essendon fans really not sure around his move to half back. I've probably been a little bit more positive on it than others, but I felt like the last 2 weeks and this week in particular has been getting up the ground a little bit more, and I think that's what we've been missing. We're used to him on that wing where he's getting a lot of inside 50s. Sort of looking back through his stats throughout the season, sort of had 2 or 3 inside 50s. This week he had 7.
Yeah,
so he's getting that balance really well. He's also hit the scoreboard the last 2 weeks as well. So really happy with his game. And then quickly Gresh, 26 touches.
Huge game.
And he had 91% of those touches in the forward half. So they're really hard touches to get. He's not swinging around the back at half back getting cheapies.
No.
He's working really hard for his touches. He's a real live wire for us.
3 coaches
forward of
votes.
centre. Yeah, well deserved. And just really smart player. Uses his body really well, creates space for others, and seems to take his opportunities really, really well. So there are a couple of other quick goods.
Yeah, I chatted to a workmate last week about Gresh, and he's like, he's a St Kilda supporter. He's like, I've been just death riding Gresh real hard. And I'm like, what do you reckon? He's like, he's been playing pretty well for you. And I'm like, it's been pretty good.
Yeah.
He's been pretty handy.
Can I throw one more good?
Go for it.
Just a simple good. It's actually nice to be someone else's bogey team. It's just in an era where we've had streak after streak against teams that have just been annihilating. It's nice to have not had a loss against Adelaide since 2017.
Yeah.
It's nice to have a team hate us.
It is. Let's get into some bads. This is, I'm going to say this is like more of a question as opposed to a bad, but there was a moment in the game where there was a ball up or bounce, whatever you want to call it, and Goldstein wasn't there and Draper wasn't there, and it was in there forward 50, and young Coxie went into the ruck. And I didn't know. I was sitting there going, is someone like injured? Is someone getting some tape going on? Has there been a bit of a mix-up with the interchange? And I was very confused. And there was several ball-ups where Coxie was going into the ruck. And I was baffled because I'm like, we have 2 rucks in the team. This isn't one of those scenarios where, oh, no, someone's gone down. You've got to step up. It's going to be a tough slog for you. There's guys ready to go. And I didn't understand why that was the case. And they scored a goal from one of those stoppages. So I don't know. Like, it's not Coxie's fault because he's not a ruckman. And I think he's actually been playing some really good footy so far the last few weeks. But either it's a bad to the coaches or it's a bad to the person running the interchange or Travis Cloak, the runner, or whoever it was. I don't know how we ended up in that scenario where Coxie was the one doing it when there's 2 capable guys ready to do it. Don't understand.
I'm assuming it was an error.
Yeah.
I feel like in the ruck's about the only place we haven't tried to play Nick Cox, so he can tick that one off his list. But I assume it was an error, but I know some teams do it. I'll use Geelong as an example. Whenever that ball was inside 50, Tommy Hawkins takes the ruck, but you can't really compare Hawkins and
well, they had
Nick
Tex,
Cox.
like he was going against Tex Walker, but still, I was just confused because like if we were playing the solo ruckman, that you understand that that's going to happen, but we're playing a dual ruck system. So why are we not using one of them in defensive 50? Like, surely there was a mistake made. It doesn't make sense to me.
I just got to put it down to classic Essendon. It's not much more Essendon than having two ruckmen, one who's a seasoned veteran who's showing a second life, and then putting a 23 kilo, 6'7" kid up against Tex Walker in the ruck. It's perfect.
Yeah.
It just it's just perfect Essendon.
Yeah. So,
There's no that sometimes you don't need logic with Essendon. You just need to go with it.
Yeah. I mean, look, maybe in like 5 years from now when Coxie's put on like more size, that this is something he might actually be able to do regularly, like a Blitzarves type scenario. But unless this is Brad Scott 8-year plan going, one day this kid's going to be a ruckman, like I didn't get it. So that was one that I didn't like. Ryan, give us a bad.
There's a couple. I'll start off with with probably the most obvious one, which was conversions in front of goal. After a phenomenal start to the season, we've had some very, very good efforts in front of goal. To have 10 goals, 13 of which were legitimate behinds, 5 were rushed. I don't know what went wrong. We had 62 inside 50s to 43. For 10 goals, it's a bit of a concern for me. I don't know. What do you think, James?
Yeah, it is a concern. I spoke around how I liked that we locked the ball in and repeat entries, but I think like Brad Scott said, that only happens when you don't take your chances inside 50. So, one positive to one negative. But, I couldn't really put my finger on it, to be honest. I didn't think the set shots we were having were ridiculous. We were still getting good looks at goal. I'm just hoping it's a one-off. And we were speaking before the show that, Adelaide haven't been a great side this year and we got away with inaccuracy. Again, looking to this week.
Yep.
We can't do that. We don't take our chances. That they will put us away.
Would you like to break the curse this week by confirming we're a bad team in front of goals?
Yeah, terrible.
There you go.
Can't kick.
That's it. That's exactly what we need. James, give us a bad.
I don't want to bash him because we spoke about him last week, but I wouldn't go as far as to say he's the weak link at the moment, but he's certainly one of the guys in the midfield that's down on form when others have really stepped up, and that's Parrish.
Yeah.
I heard today that he trained away from the main group. We spoke last week around potentially an injury, definitely not looking 100% fit. He just couldn't get involved in the game. He had 8 contested possessions, but played majority of the game on ball in the heat of it, and then had 3 tackles. So I spoke before about Durham and Caldwell being able to do both. He sort of hasn't really had an influence offensively, but then hasn't provided anything defensively.
Yeah.
Again, look, I'm not sure whether he's fit. It'll be interesting to see what comes out in the report this week. Scott didn't mention it today in his presser.
Maybe he's the one coming out for better right.
Yeah, potentially.
He's a one-way player going nowhere at the moment. And I spoke earlier about Caldwell and Durham and having purpose when they're disposing of the ball. He still lacks that. I know he went for 61% and that's pretty good, but I know he's just not damaging. He never feels, at the moment, every time he kicks, it just doesn't feel like he's doing any damage to the opposition. And you're saying, it's a worry. And the fact that he's training away from the main group suggests that something's a bit off.
I think when you're not informing, you're not playing a role offensively.
Yeah.
I think there's an opportunity to then say, well, why don't you go and stop their best midfielder? Or why don't you block for Daz or block for Caldwell? And I just don't see that side of him. Again, only 3 tackles for the game in a game where we had 80. So we had a really high tackle count. So I'm just not sure if he's not getting his clearances, he's not getting his 35 touches. What does he provide to the team? Because at the moment it's neither.
Yeah, I remember looking online, there were people calling for him to be the one subbed out in that last quarter because they felt that he wasn't having much of an influence. And, I didn't expect that to be the case, but if it happened, I would have gone, yeah, no, fair enough.
Sometimes the disposals can be a bit of a maybe a bit of an illusion sometimes. I think Nick Martin's having a great year, but his best game wasn't 44 touches against the Saints. He's had far more dynamic games, where he's only had 22. And it was interesting this week that, and it's can't imagine the last time we did, but we didn't have a single player with 30 touches or more. We were all in the 20s, which means obviously it's a very nice balanced game. But guys like Parrish, they do seem to need those games to at least appear effective.
Yeah.
That's probably harsh, but...
Yeah, no, I get you. I get you. I reckon we take a break, fellas, and then we'll come back with some hot takes. Obviously, a big game coming up on Thursday for Anzac Day. I believe it's sold out, but if you want to try and get a ticket, check out Ticketverse. They're probably the people who will be able to sort you out for some level 2 medallion seating at the MCG. Let's take a break. We're back after this. Attention all homeowners. Are you frustrated with your current property manager? Not receiving your rental payments on time? Property maintenance issues taking their toll? Well, say hello to Holland Price Real Estate, your trusted property management specialist. Based in Melbourne's north, Holland Price is a long-standing, family-run real estate agency with over 50 years of industry experience. What sets them apart is their dedication to providing a personalised service tailored to your specific needs. By choosing Holland Price to manage your property, you're not only supporting a small business, but also backing the Essendon Football Club, as director Carl DeSanctis is a passionate Bombers supporter. Well, aren't we all? For homeowners who believe it's time for a management change, why not make the move to Holland Price? For a limited time, they're offering an exclusive deal for listeners of The Sash. When you jump on board with Holland Price, use the code HPSASH to receive 1 month of their premium property service management free of charge. So head over to their website, hollandprice.com.au, or give them a call on 03 9384 0022 to discuss your property needs and use HPSASH to get 1 month off the premium property management service.
Yes. Get it off.
Back to the pod. Welcome back. Part 2 of the show. I reckon it's time we get into some hot takes, and I have to leave the studio early, everyone, so we're going to try and fly through these and still give you the hot takes that we all love. So let's get it started. We've got Dusty. Thank you, Dusty.
Hi, everyone. My name is Daddy.
Your name is Dusty, not Daddy.
My name is Dusty, and my daddy does a lot of farts and poos, and me and my daddy go for the Bombers, and they won tonight.
There you go. Great way to start us off from Dusty. I don't know if I believe that's a real child. I'm not sure. I don't know. Thoughts?
He's pretty straight to the point.
Yeah. My daddy likes to fart. Next one's from Mick Dons. Thank you, Mick.
Hey, boys. First time listener last week. I just wanted to say Zach Merritt will win the Brownlow medal. Up the Plains.
I like it.
I love it.
I like it. We're due for some more silverware at the club, I reckon.
I went all Australian, but I'm happy to get on the Brownlow train. Yeah, let's keep it going.
It's just got to not get suspended, I think is the main thing. Next one's from Bailey. Thank you, Bailey.
It was probably Ball, but it wasn't. Ligma Crows fans, how good's a Friday night? Up the fucking Plains.
I like it. I like it a lot. Next one's from Nigel. Maybe it's Nigel Thornberry. Who knows?
Yeah, hey guys. My hot take is I think that this current Essendon team could win the premiership. And I'm not saying like this year or something. I'm just saying that these current players, I think, could win a premiership or at least like make it far in the finals. Because I reckon if they got their run on and like really got going, they could definitely do it. A lot of people probably disagree, but yeah.
Thoughts? Will this group win a premiership in the 8 years that Scott has outlined?
The 8-year plan?
The 8-year plan.
Yeah, I'm on board with the 8-year plan.
Yeah.
I think, let's start with a finals win and build from there. But what the young guys are showing at the moment, I believe.
Yep. Do you believe?
Yeah, a couple of passengers, but I think the core's there. So, I'd like a 4-year plan, though. I'm very, very impatient.
1 week planned for me. Rory from Scotland. Thank you, Rory.
Hi, Rory from Scotland here. You want a hot take? The hot take is we're going to smash the fuck out of the Pies on Anzac Day after that. Some of the worst kicking today that you could ever wish to see in an AFL game, and we still won. We were that good, that dominant in the midfield. Defence looked pretty decent too. Even had Taylor Walker rolling about like a baby trying to win free kicks because he couldn't compete with our defenders. Ben Mackay just absolutely owned that piece of shit. But yeah, brilliant. Huge win, massive difference going into next week, 4-2 instead of 3-3. Peter Wright back as well, but if Brad Scott even dares drops Harry Jones, he's gone from being man of ridicule to just almost a cult hero now. His effort is just phenomenal. And he's just getting so much more involved scoring-wise as well. Like, sky's the limit with that boy. He's phenomenal. So, bring on next week. Smash those black and white bastards. And go on to
there you go.
Make the finals and have our own little run at a flag. Starting to feel a little bit confident in this team. It's scary, scary times. Cheers.
Thank you, Rory. On Harry Jones, actually, I thought this other week, and I forgot to bring it up. Now, obviously, very different types of players, but there's something about a guy with, slightly sort of fairy hair that's quite long, brushing over the ears, that kind of reminds me of someone from, back in the day who wore the number 5 for Essendon. And Harry Jones, when he's at his best and he's flying around, that mop's moving, I was like, oh, wow, I'm getting flashbacks to old Hurdy days. Very different players.
We've gone from calling for his head to now he's the second coming of James Hurd. So
he just looks like it. That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying it's the hair. I'm not saying anything about the way they play. I'm just purely talking about the hair. Next one is from Social Justice Warrior.
Shit text, you fucking racist.
Can't argue.
Short to the point. We like it. Next one's from Andy, who's in Adelaide. Thank you, Andy.
As an Adelaide-based Bomber supporter, very happy to get that win. What I didn't like, though, is Draper's shithousery after the siren. I think if we're trying to change the culture and be better at what we do, it extends to all things on and off the field, during the game, after the game. I'm all for humility. Didn't like it. We don't like when other players like Ginnivan and that carry on, so it shouldn't be any different. So I think he needs to pull his head on until he starts getting goals from set shots 20 metres out and does the basics. It's just really disappointing to see.
What were your thoughts on the sliding post game?
Yeah, it was just the exclamation mark on a very poor night for Sam. You don't like to see it, as old mate just said then, but it's definitely saying that I think will come hopefully with maturity and the set shots. I don't know. I think he maybe needs to see a priest, but it needs a lot of work.
Yeah, I kind of feel like you kind of have to earn the right to shit talk, to achieve something, be a really good team or a really good player. You kind of have to earn that right to do it. Like a mate of mine sent me some image and then was like, oh, you should post this alongside Draper sliding. It was the article that the AFL conceding it should have been a free. And I looked at it and I was like, man, we're in no place to talk shit to other clubs. Like we've got a long way to go. Let's go win some stuff and then we can talk shit. But I was very much like, yep, cool, but no, I'm not gonna do that. So yeah, look, it was funny at the time, but I totally understand what Andy's saying. We got a song. This will be good.
Look at that Draper dive. Every time I do it makes me cry. How did we let the Crows get ahead? What's going on in the Verde's head? We nearly coughed that up. Should won by more, but we will fix that up. 8 in a row against the crime is nice. That racist Texan can go have a cry.
Woo! Very good.
Very good. Lit off there with a beautiful song. Beautiful song. I think it's been a while since we've had one of those. Probably the first one for the season. Yeah, very good. Very good. We'll keep going. We've got Brad Horges. Thank you, Brad.
G'day, boys. Brad here from Adelaide. 24 hours after last night's event. Kids are finally in bed. I've had a bit of time to gather my thoughts. And to be quite frank, they can get a big dog up them. Those bunch of mongrels living here, I cop it week in, week out from them. They deserve everything they get. Big Sammy Draper, there was some strange technique at the end then, but he got the job done. Go Plains.
I couldn't imagine being it. Like I've lived in Melbourne my entire life. I couldn't imagine being an Essendon supporter living in one of the, other cities of Australia where there's, teams existing. Have either of you guys lived in any of those states? No.
No, but I could only imagine Adelaide would be one of the more challenging with Port Adelaide and Adelaide. I think as bad as West Coast and Fremantle can be, I think they're far tamer than what the South Australians are bringing to the table. And I can only pray for this man.
Him and Andy and all of our Adelaide Bay listeners, we are praying for you. Couple more to wrap this thing up. We've got Benny. Thank you, Benny.
Oh, mate. Is it a petrol station at 2 o'clock in the morning? Because I am ready to flog some pies and throw them in the fucking trash they want. Get on the fucking Donnies.
Bit worried at the start where that was going, but he brought it back. He set it up and he was like, "No, I know where I'm taking this." I like that from Benny. Now, guys, there's only one way to wrap up a hot take segment. There's only one way to put a nice little ribbon on this parcel of a show, and that is, of course, the great man Lurker. So we're going to end it with Lurker for the last hot take of the night.
Plains persistent pressure pays off. Essendon edge evolving. Adelaide arse-wipes, amazed, alarmed, and agog as Draper dives. Crows crushed. Go Bombers.
I feel like, based on that echo, that Lurker lives in a cave somewhere. Some subterranean lair. I don't know where he is.
Either that or a public toilet somewhere.
Both are possible. Both are possible. He is an international man of mystery, Lurker, as we know. Fellas, we're going to wrap this one up. Had to call it short, but I'll get some final thoughts from both of you before we say goodbye for an evening. James, final thoughts?
Let's keep it rolling. If there's one game that I pencil in that I'd love to win above all else, it's this Thursday against the Dirty Pies. I feel reasonably optimistic. I think you made a good point off air before, Ryan, that we'll have to be at 100%. 90% is not going to get it done this week, but I like the challenge, and I reckon we've shown that the brand of footy that we're playing this year can compete with the best. Now we get the opportunity to go and show it. So I'm really, really excited.
Yep. Ryan?
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to the nervous poos 2 days before the game. The dream is a win, and however we get there, but 100% is just, it's going to have to be across the board. Draper's going to have to be up. Everyone's going to have to be up, and Peter might have to kick a 7 again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Look, we've had some solid wins, but, as now the table is starting to take shape, and although Collingwood have had a slow start, I think they've clearly let everyone know in the competition that, no, we are still a threat in this competition, and we just so happen to cop them the week after they've decided to click into form. So, look, great to get the win over Crom. Going to be a massive, massive game on Thursday. Wednesday night will be our premium preview show. So if you want to listen to that, sign up to become a premium listener, $5 a month or $42 for the year. You can find the sign-up links in the show description and on all of our social media. Check us out on YouTube. If you like the YouTube, make sure you rate and subscribe and follow us on all the social platforms. Big thank you to our sponsors, of course, Holland Price and FE Custom for their great work. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be in this lovely studio that we record in this evening. Boys, thank you for joining me. Ryan, great debut from you. One of the best.
Thank you. Happy to be here, and go Bombers.
Yeah, not quite a John Coleman debut, but I reckon pretty close.
2 goals 5.
2 goals 5. James, good to see you again.
Thanks, Rob. Up the Plains.
Up the Plains, at the Bombers. Thanks, everyone. Stay safe. We'll see you soon. Bye.